Hello, it's Jack Tutor here of Attention Magazine. Welcome to Crucial Listening, the podcast where I speak with musicians and sound artists about 3 albums that are important to them. My guest this time is Ibukun Sunday, an ambient musician and violist from Lagos, Nigeria. Ibukun's new album, Mantra, is out on Phantom Limb via their Spirituals imprint. It's a release that uses brevity to its advantage in the sense that you're left with strong insistences as to the record's themes, but it's over so quickly you don't feel like you approach answers, which is perfect because Ibukun seems like someone who is exploring and searching. This record has that sensation, these snippets of field recordings that suddenly cut into these waves of electronics, which in turn go through these mutations over the course of their running time, transiting from one point to another. But again, because of the brevity of these pieces, feel like that they've just embarked on one step of what's ultimately an ongoing, perhaps infinite onward journey. Love speaking to Ibukun. One thing I will say is that the audio undergoes a change at one point. We had some sound issues which we then cleared up. So the first 10 minutes, Ibukun's voice has reverb on it, and the latter part of the conversation, for the most part, it doesn't. So just making you aware of that. This was great. I loved speaking to Ibukun. 3 really cool records, none of which I'd heard, all from the past few years actually. Hope you enjoy this conversation. And if you're enjoying these conversations generally, then do consider donating to the podcast over on Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/crucial listening. You can do a one-off donation or monthly to help support with the outgoings involved in hosting the show and the energy exerted in making it. Thank you for listening as always. I hope you enjoy this conversation. This is Ibukun Sunday on Crucial Listening. Hello, Ibukun. Welcome to Crucial Listening.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So, you're here to talk about 3 important albums. Before we talk about those, I want to ask about your new record, Mantra. Now, one thing that appears in the text is the fact that the album is inspired in part by the 4 Vedas of Hinduism, which are bodies of religious text composed in Vedic Sanskrit and passed down orally. So, firstly, can you tell me about your own connection to the 4 Vedas?
First and first, I always love to know more about cultures, traditions, and the way of life, the way people live. So what made me to go deep into this is I always love the Indian culture, the Native Americans, sort of all those things. So basically, I think maybe 3 years ago, I got a book about this. I got like 3 different books of these Vedas. So when I read through it, I saw it was written by an Indian person. Like, I would like to know more about it. So what the Vedas, what it really means is that it means the knowledge, and any knowledge you accept is Vedas. And again, for any teaching of the Vedas are original knowledge. And also the Vedas is just like, it's like an hymn book, and it's also a song of devotion. That was really pushed me into that. Like, this I need to like create something like something special that it's connected to something like spiritual, which is also known as knowledge too. That's why in anything I do, like knowledge is always there. That's why I say any knowledge you accept is vendors. And again, for any teaching of the vendors are also the original knowledge. That is it.
It's great. I mean, you mentioned the connection between this and hymns. It's like a hymn book, you
exactly,
said.
It's like an hymn. And it's also a song of devotion.
Yeah, so already you have something which has a basis in music.
Exactly.
What was it that made you want to make an album around this? Like, what made it worth exploring through your sound?
As I said before, the vendors are like hymns that talks about the traditional stories, like each like religion or culture, tradition and rituals. That was make me go deep into it. Like I need to know what's going on here and what's going on there.
I wanted to ask you as well about some of the specific recordings on Mantra. I mean, what I love is you have this basis of your wonderful electronics, but you also have a lot of voices. Like voices feature heavily, either in the foreground or buried in the mix. I mean, there's one track, Culture of Knowledge, that opens with a dialogue, an unbroken recording of dialogue before it moves into the music. I mean, could you tell me a bit about that piece of recording on Culture of Knowledge? Like, why was it there, and what is it that draws you to voices and conversation like that?
Basically, all these questions always lead to number one. And I already said it before, like, it's the culture, one, it's the tradition, two, it's the religion, three, it's the ritual, four. That's why in the beginning of the culture of knowledge, it started with the Yoruba language, which is from Nigeria. The Yoruba language, they were discussing about a flower that they can use to cure someone. That what was going on at the beginning of the culture of knowledge. It was in Yoruba. They were like three women, if I can remember, yes, three women, they were having a conversation about what was going on. Like, they can use this leaf to create cream, they can use it to cure this, they can use it to cure that. After that, when the Yoruba was just like, it was going, the conversation was going, and it switched to another language, which is Yibo in Nigeria. We have Yoruba, Yibo, Hausa, Calabar. So the thing switched to Yibo. These Yibo people, I don't really understand Yibo, so I don't really know what they were saying, but I think I have an idea. They were discussing, like, they were, if you hear the recording very well, they were sweeping. One of them was sweeping, and the other was standing. They were having a conversation in Yibo language. They were discussing. I don't really know what they were discussing, but me listening to the music at the end, like, I was like, okay, I think this conversation is really going to what I'm looking for. Like, this is it. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. And that is how I just got it. From Yoruba conversation, it switched to a Yibo conversation. And after that, it then fades and the music comes in. That's why I say it again. It's like a song. And it's also a hymn, and it's also a devotion. So the thing just keeps going like that. That is how I got the culture of knowledge.
Another question I wanted to ask is about the electronics on this record, because they're really gorgeous. I mean, the first track you've got on there is Purport, and you've got this kind of texture that seems to dance and then transform into something completely different to what it starts as. Or, you know, the drones on Manasa, the way that they all fit together is just gorgeous. So I've also seen on your YouTube channel actually you using various synthesizers, and it seems that hardware and equipment and synthesizers are a really prominent interest of yours. So I wondered if you could tell me about some of your favorite pieces of equipment that you used on Mantra and what it is you like about using them.
I used the Lara 8.
Lara 8. Is that the only synth you used on the record?
I use a Micro Freak too. What really pushed me in using the Lara 8 and the Micro Freak was the Lara 8 is just like a beast. Like the equipment is exactly like, that's the explanation. It's just like a beast. Like it gives you this white noise, this drone of what you're looking for, the ambulance, everything. It's there on the Lara 8. That was like the texture more. I'm like really pissed off about the texture, the sound texture, the everything, how it moves, where it can take you. Like it really blows my mind. Like I can go on forever just using the Lara 8 alone or the Micro Freak. It's really, really a good equipment using.
One other question I wanted to ask on Mantra is the sound at the beginning of Illusion. It's so fascinating. It sounds like, for the benefit of people listening, they can check out the record obviously, but it sounds like someone rummaging through like a bag. Yes. Or breathing frantically. I don't know how much you want to explain that sound, but I wondered if you could give me like an indication of what I'm hearing there.
So what I was really trying to do there is the isolation means to accept something which is not and what is not. Everyone is accepting the body as itself. If I ask you what you are, you will say, I am this, I am that. But all these are just the body identification, but you are not the body. So that what the voice and everything you hear is trying to like, what is going on? Like, is this my body? Is this not my body? It's just like a ritual, like, I need to go out of here. What's going on? That's why he's breathing heavily. The everything keeps going on like that. Like, that was what I was just trying to achieve from there.
That's wicked.
Is to accept something or not.
That is lovely. I mean, this and everything you've said in this portion has really kindled like a renewed appreciation of wanting to get back and stuck into this record.
Exactly.
It's wonderful, Ibukun. Thank you for that. And
yeah, thank you so much.
People should check out Mantra as well. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's a really great record. So let's talk about your 3 important albums now. And before we get to the records specifically, I like to ask about how you thought about the word important when picking your 3 records. So was there a way that you understood that word important in order to come up with the list that you did?
Actually, the word important, I can say I understand or I do not understand. Like I can pick almost like this 3 music, like important you want me to pick. I can pick almost like 10, 20, because I've listened to so many people create, like our music always connect to each other. So these 3 are just, if you want me to pick like 10, I can pick 10. But these 3 are just like, okay, let me just pick this 3 which connects to me more and which is a transition to my music also. Like we do the same thing, but on an higher level place. Nice.
So let's go with your first important record then, Ibukun. Which one would you like to talk about first?
Anyone. You could just pick anyone. I dive into it.
Okay, great. I've got them in an order on my sheet. We might as well go in this order then. So the first one I've got here is Black Brunswicker, Wilder Paths. So could you give me a little introduction to why this record is important to you?
This record is like the beginning of the music drawn from the art of land. Everything, like, I think this music was talking to me more. because this music was released and when I was going through some things, like that's why I bought this music. I always listening to it, like the way the guitar, the shifting, the texture, the sound texture, and everything. Like it just went to the same direction of what I'm looking for. And again, the music, like that really, really connects to me is the silence we shared. That's like, it's another realm for me. Like I can listen to it almost 10 times, 20 times. Like it keeps me going. It keeps me going. The sound, just the texture alone, like it's enough for me. Like a peace of mind.
When you say it keeps you going, could you tell me more about that? Like, what does this record give you?
Like anytime I'm down, I don't really like to say this. Like I'm always alone now. Like I do things alone. Like I don't really have best friend, much friend like that. So I'm always like on my own all the time. So like when I'm like down or going through things, I just listen to such music that's like this, that acts the sound texture, like what I want. Like when I listen to it, it's always bring me more back up. Like, yes, let me create, let me do this, let me do that. It keeps me going. Like sometimes I'm not going to lie to you, when I listen to other artists' music like this, it's always touched me. Like sometimes I always cry, like inside me, I always cry a lot. Like such music is this? It's really, really touching me. Like it goes a long way for me. Like especially the silence we shared. Like as I said, I'm always on my own. Like I keep to myself, those kind of stuff. But when I listen to this music, there's something there.
How did you discover it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think like there's a label which I was following, Mystery Circle. So like I did a release on the label. So I think the label did another release on other artists. So I saw it on Instagram. I was like, I need to follow the guy. So the artist, I followed him on Instagram. When I saw the album, it's out on Bandcamp, immediately I just went, I bought it, listened to it, and like, yes, this is it. This is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of music I want. This is the kind of music I want to hear. This is it.
That's great. One thing that really stuck out to me on this album is the reverb, and I can see that Ethan is using a particular pedal, and it seems to use very few pedals. He's using a Mr. Black Eterna pedal on this record. I'm intrigued, firstly, for your thoughts on the reverb on this album, but also I'm struck by the different types of echo and reverb on your record as well. So I wondered if you could tell me a bit about your relationship with echo and reverb.
First of all, anytime I'm doing any music, when I created the music first, like I created without reverb or echo or anything. When I create music, then I move it over and do an editing. I put reverb, I put echo. Those two things always bring the texture of the sound out, like the grumbling of the sound. It's always come out. I'm not going to lie to you. If you create a pure music, which is going from the beginning to the end, if you play it backward, it always sounds different. And when you take the music, you put echo, reverb, delay, or sustain, it beautifies everything, brings the colors out. Like it looks as if maybe you're in heaven or something. Like the beauty is always there. That will just make me like get in touch. Like this is like reverb, delay, echo. Like now, if you're creating the music, you guys put all those things there. Like to just balance the music, you have to put that there.
That's great. This album came out very early on in the pandemic, and I see that Ethan talks about this music being, this isn't a direct quote, but basically in the direction of, this is music to act as a form of escape during lockdown, which obviously in that very early part of the pandemic, people were really talking about it. It was very much at the top of, as a reference point for why people were making and releasing their music. So I wondered, in terms of your experience, did you find yourself gravitating towards or moving towards certain types of music or certain albums during that time of lockdown at all?
Yeah, during the lockdown, like, I was going through a lot also. Like, I was in Lagos then. I was in Lagos, Nigeria. So I went to this thing, Ghana, for a residence, just 2 weeks resident, and I have to come back to Nigeria and fly back to the UK for my gig. And later, when I was in Ghana, after the 2 weeks resident, the lockdown, like, there was lockdown worldwide. You can't travel back, you can't do anything. And I was in Ghana. I was supposed to spend 2 weeks in Ghana. I ended up spending 6 months unprepared.
Wow.
I was so destabilized, like, all my shows and gig in UK, everything was just cancelled. I could not go back home. Like, so it was really hard for me. I was really, really going through a lot. That was make me create The Last Wave. That's my album, my first album I created, The Last Wave. Like, it's really messed up with me, the lockdown. Like, it's messed up with me in a bad way, and it also in a good way. So, win-win, bad and good.
And with Black Brunswicker, just to wrap up this record, are there other Black Brunswicker records that you enjoy as well?
Actually, it was just like this, like, this is just the target, like, this is just what I want. When I see what I want, I know this is it.
Okay, so Ibukun, let's go to your second important record now. The next one in my list is Ryan J. Raffa, Ginkgo.
Yes.
Which was also released in 2020. So again, if you could give me an introduction as to why you picked this record as an important record, that would be great.
Well, Raffa, like Jack, like, we connected on Instagram. He's my friend. Like, actually, this album, I basically bought the cassette. The cassette was sent over from, I think it was in Thailand, from Thailand to Nigeria, Lagos. It was sent over to me. Like,
wow.
This is another music, like, people should always listen. The texture also, and the noise, the white noise, everything. Like, the bass, like, this, I always put it on replay. It's called The Distance We Must Travel. Like, it's number 10. Sorry, it's number 11. The Distance We Must Travel. Like, it goes on for like 12 minutes, 5 seconds. Like, if you hear the noise, like, everything, it keeps going. And again, there's one thing I love about this music. It picks up, like, it picks just 3 notes, and it keeps repeating it, like repetition. And again, what I said about delay, reverb, like, it's also there, like, repetition. I always love music. Like, I love music. Like, you just play 3 notes and you keep repeating it, like, slowly. And the reverb is there, the echo, everything. Like, that was, like, it's always messed with me. Like, I'm always in love with that repetition. Like, if you hear the music, the distance, like, it's really, really something else. Really something else.
Yeah, I noticed that with this record, how there's a lot of, as you say, there's a lot of repetition, but often as well, it doesn't always feel like it's looping. It feels like it's always changing at the same time. Even as you've got these things that stay the same. I mean, I noticed that Ryan J. Raffa uses what looks like a modular synthesizer, right? So,
Yes.
Are you interested in modular systems as well? Do you use any at all? I know it's like own world modular synthesizers, but yeah.
Like, yes, I use that. Like, I have the vocal FM, the vocal keys, all that, the micro freak. Like, I'm always in love in doing that, but to get it is like, that is too expensive. So, like to get equipment like that. And again, I'm based in Lagos, like to ship it over and every other thing expensive. Like, let's just don't go into that now.
Yeah, for sure. And rhythm as well on this Ryan J. Raffa record.
Yes.
Could you tell me a bit about your connection to rhythm, maybe on this record, Ginkgo, but also your own connection with rhythm? Because a lot of the pieces on your album have, a distinct rhythm to them. They're not just flat. So yeah, could you tell me a bit about that?
Exactly. That was I like. I've seen in the beginning. Like, there's always a connection. Even the first track I pick, there's a connection. The second one, there's a connection between us. That's why there's always a connection. It's maybe the ambulance or any other thing. There's always something connecting us. The energy, like, even though we are far away, like, it's always there. It's always there. It's always there. It's always there. It will never leave.
With Ginkgo, can you tell me a bit about how you discovered this record? How did you come to find it? Oh, you were friends on Instagram. Is that how you came into this record?
Yes, we were friends on Instagram. So when you upload it on Instagram, his new release is out, like, immediately I bought it straight up. And I think the next day, it was shipped to me from Thailand. I basically bought the digital and the cassette. Immediately in 2 to 3 days, it was like I got it from Nigeria. Like, when I put it in the cassette, I use a big speaker. Like, I just put it on repeat. Especially the distance we must travel. Like, you can see the distance from Thailand to Lagos. You can feel the distance. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's it. And sometimes you always like connect. Like, anytime I do a radio show, like, I have to feature artists, I always put his music there. Like, music is always, like, it's always there.
Is this the one record that you've got by Ryan, or are there other records as well by him that you enjoy?
Yeah, there's other records too. Yeah, there's other records.
What is it about? I mean, you've talked a bit about why this record connects with you, but I'm intrigued, out of all the records that they've done, why is this the record that sticks out as the important one for you?
Basically, his record 2 was released in 2020, February 2008, and February 28, 2020. The same thing I was also going through, like, it's always the same thing. So I think that's it for now. Yeah.
Great, so we've got one more important record, Ibukun, and it's by KMRU, Joseph Kamaru.
Yeah, Joseph, yeah.
Yeah, As It Still Is, released in 2021. So
yes.
Give me a few words on why this one is important to you.
Basically, this one is important because we are connected again. It's field recordings. I'm just going to say totally in love with field recordings. If you check on my music, like almost everything, there's always field recordings there. Field recordings, field recordings. I think that was what that what brought us together, like always in connection, me and Joseph. Like when I listen to his music, like, wow, yes, this is it. Like this is what I do also. Like the connection is always there. That's why if you check all the three people I pick, the music, that music and my music, there's one or two, like it's the same. It's the same. So that will make me pick Joseph, like field recordings. Like I'm totally in love with that.
Do you have any thoughts on why that is? Why is it that you're in love with field recordings?
I think if you come to Lagos, Lagos never sleeps. Like there's always noise everywhere. If you come home and you want to sleep, like someone is playing music here, generator is sounding, they're fighting, they're drinking, they're party. Lagos does not sleep. Lagos is always noisy. Like if you need like a field recording of like 2 hours, I can do that for you. Like Lagos, you totally get it there. Lagos, man. Lagos, we don't sleep. We don't sleep. There's always fight, drink, music, generator, discussion, night party, everywhere. Like it's always noisy. Always noisy. That was like when I just wake up, like basically I'm used to it. That would just make me like have free record like this. And again, when I listen to people's conversation, like what's going on, what they're saying, like when they're talking, like the music always play in my head. Like you can add a date to your music, you can do this, you can do that, you can put this what they're saying, you can lay it on this music. Like it does not like I don't really stress myself. It just comes. Like it's something they call like divine grace. It's just like basically the divine grace is the same thing as the book that brought me to this music mantra. Like it just comes. It comes. Like I don't really struggle. Like, okay, I want to make an album. Like I need to struggle now. The only thing that makes me struggle is when I'm in Nigeria, when I'm doing an album, we have problem with light. Like electricity, like you can be in Lagos like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, no light. So how are you going to work?
Wow.
How are you going to create? How are you going to do all this? Like that always mess with me. Like it always destabilizes my body. Like I need to work. I need to do this. I need to do that. So anytime I have the chance, like there's light, I can create almost like 5 albums a day.
Wow.
3 albums. I just have to do that because I don't know when we'll have light. I don't know when they'll bring the light. Like that is the only thing that always mess with me. Like I'm tired. I'm fed up. Like that's just it.
Wow. So when you do get that light, you're like, right,
exactly,
I need to get on it. I need
exactly. I can go on for like a whole day, 2 days, 3 days, no resting. And there's one thing about me when I create a music and I feel the connection in the music, I leave the music. I wait to like 2 to 3 weeks. I go back to the music. When I see the connection is still there, like, yes, this music is ready. But when I go back to the music and I see the connection is not there, like it is not ready, out. Yeah, so that's the way I create. That's how it comes.
When you go back to it, and if you think the connection isn't there, it's not ready.
Yeah, it's not ready at all.
Do you carry on working on that music, or do you just start all over again?
Yeah, I will start all over again. Like it's not there at all. So I just have to start again. Now, if it's not there, it's not there. No.
Wow.
So when it's there, like, yeah, this is it. It's ready. So there must always be a connection with your music. Like if you're not passing anything, what's the essence of you creating music without no connection, no feeling, no nothing, no energy, no, like it's totally So you have to feel the connection, the energy, what it's saying, who is it speaking to, who is the music touching, how does it feel when people listen to your music? All those has to be there. If it's not there, that means music is not ready.
And does that also apply to listening to music? Do you need to feel that connection, that energy come through?
You have to if you go to if you go like online, check music, you're not feeling anything. Like there's no connection. That's why all the 3 music I gave to you, like there's a connection. There's always a connection. The field recording, the texture, the repetition, like you can see it's always there. The energy is there, the connection is there, the feeling is there. Like everything is always there.
What do you like about the field recordings on As It Still Is?
It's the way people express themselves, the way they talk. Like basically they don't know, like someone is doing a recording of them. Like I just when I listen to them, like the music creates like on my mind, like person is talking, like this music can go into it. Like anytime I'm creating, like, and I need to put field recording, sometimes I create the music first and look for a field recording, go outside. I listen to the music while recording, like,
oh wow,
is this the actual field recording I'm looking for? No. Is this the actual field recording? No. Like I have to like look for it. Like when I see like, I say, yes, this is the field recording I'm looking for to this music. And I just record it, mix it, and it's out there.
That's great.
You can't just put any field recording on music. Like it has to synchronize, like it has to go along, like it really needs to.
I noticed that with your album and also with Joseph's as well. They feel really a part of the music. It's really cool.
Exactly.
Have you had much contact with Joseph? I mean, I know you featured on Variations, his radio show, back in 2021.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like on Instagram, like we always like, so when we have time to like talk and chat, sometimes like, yeah, I love the music. Oh, thank you. I love the music too. I'm doing a radio show. Can you feature? Oh, yeah, sure. I can do something like that. Yeah.
And are there any other records as well by Joseph that you really enjoy?
Yeah. There's lots, like really a lot of music he created. Like, there's a lot of music there. Like the Falling Dreams is there. Created that one in 2020. Like Why We Wait, Drawing Waters, all those, like, Still, like, he has a lot of music, like, really connect.
And the electronics on this album as well, As It Still Is, are really, they're wonderful because they have, he seems to be using like chords that hold like a single chord through the whole piece, but it's getting louder and quieter and louder and quieter. It's almost like it's breathing throughout each of these pieces. I wondered if Joseph's use of electronics was something as well, specifically.
Yeah, I think he also used the Lara 8 too.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
That's what I tell you. When I tell you the Lara 8 is like a beast, forget it's a beast. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know that because he told you or because you recognized it?
No, like almost like 4 years ago, like I went online, like what instruments, 4 or 5 years ago, like what instrument can I buy, like that's really synchronized to what I want to create and what I want. Like when I went online, I saw the Lara 8, I was like, wow, I think this is it. So I was like trying to buy it when I was in Lagos, like I was like the expensive and everything it was too much for me. So I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait when I get to the UK so I can just go to enter a shop and just get it instead of paying for shipping and every other thing. So immediately I got to the UK, that's what I did. Immediately I bought it. I was like, yes, this is the beast. The beast is here.
That's great.
Yeah. And the Lara 8 is something you can experiment with a lot. A lot. When you have the right effect, the right everything, like you can create almost 20 albums with it. It's something worth buying, and like it's really, really good. Especially the texture. When you have a good effect like a reverb, delay, and all those, like it's just synchronized. Like you can go on for like hours creating, 2 hours, 3 hours, like that.
Wow. So do you think you're going to carry on using that synthesizer for quite a while?
Like for a very long time.
Wow.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for a very long time, yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's the best. The Lara 8 is really, really good. Really good.
Because the other thing as well, obviously it was a huge part of your life, is the viola, and I think before that the violin. I mean, do they still feature in, I mean, do you still play them? Do you see them as part of your music, or do you feel like you're now in a new phase, like a new part of your life, and the viola isn't there?
Basically, the viola, it's always there. Like if you check my personal Bandcamp account, like I always use the viola.
Yeah.
Like I do experiment. Like it's always there. It's always there. It's never like the viola too is like also like a connection to me. Like when I do improvisation music with my viola with effect and every other thing, like I'll surely take it to another realm. Like, and again, me just playing, like I always notice like when I'm performing the viola, my first note, like just the open string with the effect and everything, like you'd be like, wow, what's this? The strings, the viola is very, very powerful. So very, very, like it's always there on my track. It's always there. I always like featured it. Like it's always there. It will never leave. It's the same thing. It will never leave.
Nice.
Like now, like next week, I think on the 21 in Manchester, I'll be doing a show, just the viola. I'll be doing a show in Manchester.
Great. That's awesome. That's great. Because I was listening to your album Latch earlier, and
exactly. Like, and also I love like string instruments, like the cello, the double bass, the violin, and everything.
So, Ibukun, one other question I want to ask is about how you buy music, how you tend to buy music, and how you tend to listen to it day to day. I mean, we've talked about buying music on Bandcamp here. I mean, what are your preferred ways to buy music? Where do you buy it? Do you have a favorite format? Yeah, tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, it's always the love of music. Like all my music is always on Bandcamp. Just to buy it and support other artists, because I have a Bandcamp too. People always support me on music. I think that's the best way to support each other. That's only the way. Like Bandcamp is the best. You can buy digital, or you can buy the tape, you can buy the CD, just to support other artists. We support each other, rely on each other. Like the support is always there. Like that's why, like that is the best for me. It's the best. Like Bandcamp, just to support other artists. Like that's just it.
And the final question is, these 3 important records you picked. I mean, you mentioned that you could have picked any number of records, but the 3 you did pick were all released in the last 3 years. So I wondered whether or not this last few years, have they been particularly important for you in terms of discovering and connecting with music?
Yes, they're always important. Like my Bandcamp, like always like check music which connects. There's one I have that was released in 2021. There's one I have that was released in 2022, 2023. Like, there's always a connection there. But this, like, just like 3 years ago, because of maybe what I was going through, maybe that's why it's not, maybe that's why, like, it's really important. That's why it's really important, because there's a connection there between us, between the artist and the musician. Both of us, there's always a connection. The music they play, the music I play, it's always there. There's a connection. So that's just it.
That's great. Well, Ibukun, thank you so much. It's been great to speak about your record, and these 3 records are wonderful. I'm grateful for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And to everyone listening, see you next time. Goodbye.
Yeah, goodbye. Cheers.